sure a lot of the shapes and body lines start to become more familiar. And there are many ways to put these steps together to create different combinations with variations of arms and directions as well. But of course, we cannot be holding onto the bar during the performance. So after the bar work, we move on to the center work, meaning the center of the studio. The process is similar. We start with exercises that challenge our balances and coordination, and then we add rotations called turns or pirouettes. And as the steps and the combination become more complicated, we also start to travel through the space of the studio. And finally, the last section of the class is the jumps. Same thing, it starts with small jumps of warm-up and then gradually evolves into medium and then bigger jumps. Okay, so usually at the end of class, the dancers give a little bow to the teacher to thank them. I'll play the role of the teacher now. Okay, I think it's time to give the dancers a little break until they get ready for the next section. All right, so please raise your hand if you have ever taken a ballet class before. All right, I think that young lady at the front row can come and help me. I guess I need an assistant for the next section. All right, careful your step. All right, beautiful. So, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Shu.
All right, and you've been dancing for a little bit?
A little bit.
All right. So let's go together through the five basic ballet positions. So the first one is probably one of the most famous as well. First position, heels together and toes apart. Beautiful. Second position, same thing but with some space between your heels. Perfect. Third position, heels together and heels touching, 1 foot front and 1 foot back. Beautiful. Fourth position, with some space between your legs, straight knees, of course. That's it. Who's your teacher? And the last position, which is definitely the most famous ballet position that you can see everywhere, is the fifth position. So when you have 1 foot front and 1 foot back, you can see that the front heel's touching the back toes and here. All right. Please give Shu a round of applause for her help today. Thank you so much. So, one of the great things about ballet is that they are usually based on stories and fairy tales that are usually familiar and with stories that aren't overly complicated. So you can usually understand it easily and then you can sit back and relax and focus on the dancing. But even if you want to go to a performance where you're not sure of the story or you're not certain you know exactly what's going on, you don't need to worry because most performances come with a program booklet, whether it's a digital or printed one, that would give you all the information you need about the performance. So the story of the ballet, the casting, the characters, even the history of the company that is performing, all the information you need. So in the next section of our performance, we will be showing you a pas de deux. A pas de deux is a duet between two dancers, and in classical dance, it is usually a duet between a male and a female dancer. They each have their respective roles, so the male dancer is usually here to assist and lift the ballerina, while the ballerina, the female dancer, dances on point. I'm sure you've seen a pair of point shoe before, but you may not have seen one up close. So a point shoe looks like this. A point shoe is a specifically designed shoe with a hard sole and tip that allows the ballerina to dance on point and appears as if she's defying gravity and floating through the space. It actually takes years to master, and just so that you can appreciate this up close, I'm gonna get the friend, because most ballerinas have 2 feet. Here you go. And I'll just pass them around. You can pass them separately so you can have a look at it up close while I keep chatting. All right. So when you see the point shoe as it is, you will see that as you start moving, it probably wouldn't stay on the foot for very long and it would fall off easily. So ballerinas actually go through a preparation process for each pair of shoes. What they do is usually they sew a pair of ribbons and a pair of elastic that they wrap around the ankles like the ones you will see on Chihiro in a minute, right here. And it's actually very time consuming because they do everything by hand, all right? Now, just a quick question, how long do you think a pair of point shoe would last? Sorry? 3 months. Nice. Any other guests? All right, so a pair of point shoe actually can last from a few hours to a few days at most, depending on how demanding the program would be, or like the weather conditions or something. So each pair can actually last, just a few hours to a few days, and some ballerinas actually use multiple pairs per performance. Now, each pair of point shoes costs approximately somewhere around $100 US. So when you have to do a weekend of 10 shows using multiple pairs of point shoes every weekend, I let you do the calculation, but it becomes quite costly. Yes. All right. So, in the next section, we will be showing you a pas de deux from Paquita. While Paquita is not one of the most famous ballet, it is a perfect representation of what a classical pas de deux looks like. It is the wedding scene between the two main characters, Paquita and Lucien, and it happens at the very end of the ballet. Please enjoy. while the dancers are getting ready for the last section, I think we have a couple ready actually. Oh, well done. That's some skills. I think it's the perfect time for a little Q&A, whatever questions you guys may have about dance or about this program or whatever it is. Yes. Please raise your hand. We'll just bring a mic to you guys. Know anything? Yeah, over here, please. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Jochen. I just wanted to know, you said belly dancing is costly. I think it's painful. And I'm not so sure how much rewarded it is in the sense of how much you can earn. So what will be the main motivation to become a belly dancer? I mean, it looks fantastic.
I'm leaving. No, I'm joking. I think it's so hard. Thank you for that question. It is very hard to explain what a passion is. I think a passion is full of sacrifices. It takes years to become a ballet dancer. It takes years of practice. I mean, I'm sure you know that these guys didn't wake up on Monday and be like, let's perform this weekend. Obviously, it takes years, it takes sacrifices, it takes a lot of hard work. It is painful. The body is easily trainable if you start young. So it's probably not as painful for us as it is for people who would start ballet as adults, that's for sure. The body is more malleable when you are young. I think if you have a passion for performance or for dancing, the reward of being on stage in front of an audience, showing your hard work, impersonating a character, showing, bringing the audience onto a journey for whether it's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, a ballet of 30 minutes. I think this is really magical, but I talk about myself as a performer. I think the magic of being on stage really has no price, but could always be higher.
Perfect. I think they should be paid as pop stars because they are.
Thank you very much, you're hired. Any other questions, anyone else? Yes, over here. Am I?
What are your inspirations besides being a performer?
My inspirations for this performance in general or in life?
For this performance?
For this performance, I think a lot had first to come with the design of the performance, right? So creating a program for people who had never watched ballet. But then again, if you've been in the ballet world in Singapore, you can see that the casting of this performance is pretty high, as like all 4 people working on this program are former principal dancers. So I assumed as well that people who like ballet would come and watch. So it was a balance on making it interesting for both ways, people who have never watched ballet before and people who have. In terms of inspiration, I think I worked with Chihiro in Kenya for so many years, but I never actually choreographed on them. So I figured that the next piece of music you will hear was like perfect for them. And I think what you will see next, you will see that my appreciation and my admiration as a choreographer to them as dancers, as colleagues, I hope it really shows off. All right. All right, I think we had enough questions for today. I need to move on. So, over the last century or so, ballet has evolved a lot. Choreographers started to use the ballet vocabulary in a very different way, recreating the big classical ballets like Swan Lake and Giselle, or creating new ones on new stories like Dracula or Gatsby from the movie. And the dancers are asked to use the classical technique, but push it beyond what the traditional ballet technique would allow. And it's the same thing in the partnering. You will notice that the male dancer actually use a lot of different grips, like under the armpits or the elbows, which is something that you would probably never do in a classical ballet. And that evolution is actually amazing because it makes ballet and dance in general not stagnant, and it offers so many opportunities for new creations and new ballet to be constantly created. So the possibilities are really endless. Now, do you know of any Singaporean choreographer? Yes. Chusan Go, exactly. So Chusan was a young artist In the 1970s, he moved to Europe and for over 20 years established himself as a very successful dancer and choreographer. And nowadays, you can still watch his works if you attend the performances by Singapore Ballet, as all his works are a very important part of the company's repertoire. And it is your national company, so I strongly recommend that you attend the performances. Now, in the last section of our performance, we have created a short neoclassical piece, which I have choreographed myself, especially for this performance, to show you how the traditional ballet lines and ballet technique can be used in a very different way. But before we start the last section of our performance, I would like to share that if you were to become more interested about watching dance, you can attend a free performance by the National Contemporary Ballet at the outdoor theater of the Esplanade at 9:15 today, and there's a few more shows over the weekend and a lot more programs available all throughout the Esplanade throughout this weekend, so please check out all the other programs.